Hello, thanks for being in a new video. This time I have a review of the 3rd generation Amazon Fire TV Cube. Let's get started. This is a device that seeks to be a fusion between a Fire TV and an Echo Dot. That is, it will have connectivity functions with your TV to give you access to streaming platforms and other things. But at the same time, while your TV is off, it can function as a voice assistant to which you can ask questions. I'll tell you about some of the details later. But basically, that's the initial concept. Personally, I would have called it Fire TV Echo or Echo Fire TV. And its launch price in Mexico is $2,999. On the screen, you see the reference price in dollars, so you have an idea. But remember that the prices here are not the same as there. With this, it becomes the most expensive Fire TV. But obviously, if you consider that at the same time it is an Echo Dot, you could perfectly have two devices in one. But let's start talking about the design so you can get to know it. It's a cube of a very similar size to what we see with the Echo Dot, although the Echo Dot is totally spherical, so basically just turn that sphere into a cube and you have more or less the dimensions of this device. At the top we have some controls, for starters volume buttons, and we also have a button to immediately activate the assistant without the need to say a voice command. Or also the button to completely mute the microphones so that it is not constantly being enabled. In fact, in this upper part, we will also find 4 microphones to try to capture the voice as accurately as possible. The top and bottom are in plastic, although the bottom is silicone with better grip so that it does not wobble on the table. However, most of its body is covered with fabric, so it gives it a nice touch not only aesthetically but also to the touch, so it does not look like a very strange device in the room. On the back, we will find its ports. Interestingly, it comes with an HDMI input port because you can connect, for example, a Nintendo Switch or something else on this connector, and this way you do not need the control of your TV to switch input, but only the Fire TV control to select some other device. Here we will also find the HDMI output, which will be the one connected to your TV. Then we have an infrared extender, so you can use the remote control even with this device stored behind a door. But if you need to buy that extender separately, then we have its power connection. And finally, we are going to find the USB input and also the network connection via cable. By the way, it is also going to have its light indicator on the top so you know when it is listening to you. The design, the truth is that it is very good. There is nothing we could reproach or ask. In that aspect, I think it meets very well. This, like all Fire TV, includes a remote control in which we will have shortcuts. At the bottom, we will find direct access to Prime Video, Netflix, Amazon Music, and a button to access all applications. We also have navigation buttons, volume buttons, and in fact also a button to manually activate the voice assistant. Although being a device that also has the functions of an Echo, you can perfectly well just say the activation word without the need to have the control close. And that would be one of the main differences from other Fire TVs that don't have these features. So you could say to it, Alexa, turn on the TV. And it should be able to turn on your TV, as in this case it's already turned on. And obviously in the same way you could ask it to open some content on a certain specific platform. For example, I've told it search for Marcial on YouTube and it does those kinds of actions without a problem. You could control the volume and other things. Let me now talk about the image quality that is capable of getting this device. Because fortunately you can play content in 4K since it has Wi-Fi 6E connectivity. So even if it is streaming, you will be able to have an excellent quality as long as your internet provider offers this kind of internet quality as well. And in case your internet provider does not give you a router with Wi-Fi 6E anyway, you can connect via cable this device and enjoy that 4K content. Now let me talk a little bit about the sound quality, but for that I'm going to turn off the TV because I'm only going to talk about the speaker built into this device. Just as I anticipated, in this case you could ask it for anything else that you usually ask a traditional Echo. So, let me tell you, Alexa, set a 5-second timer.
Buenos días, Isa. 5 segundos. Empieza ahora.
Don't know if you caught it because of the microphone placement, but I have to tell you that it doesn't seem to me to have the loudest volume. In this case that the timer is already going off, you do get to hear it, but considering it's the loudest volume, I would say your speaker is simple. Also, if you wanted this speaker to listen to music, you should know that this is impossible without the TV on. It's a very strange behavior that I hope they will correct through an update, because in case you ask it to play a song, it's going to turn on the TV and force you to log in on the TV, something that doesn't happen in traditional Echoes. It just grabs your linked account that you have previously registered with your Amazon account, and you don't have to log in separately. Watch. Alexa, play This Is Planet Boom on Spotify.
This is Planet Bomb in Spotify.
And usually what I would do would be to start playback immediately, but in this case, you see, I turned on the TV and it's asking me to log into Spotify, so I can't start playback. For this, I would have to log in, and every time I ask it to play music, it's going to turn on the TV. And as a curious detail, nothing else. Remember that if you don't specifically ask it to play on Spotify or another platform, it will give preference to Amazon Music. Alexa, play the podcast countdown.
Reproduciendo el recuento en Amazon Music. Aquí tienes el último episodio. Feliz Gato Día Internacional del Podcast.
As you can see, in this case, I asked it to play a podcast and it played it on Amazon Music. But again, it turns on the TV, and after turning on the TV is that you could get to start the playback. But that the truth is, you're not going to like it. It makes for an overly awkward experience that doesn't satisfy the user, because in this case, it wouldn't be functioning as two devices in one. It would be functioning as a Fire TV with voice recognition capabilities. I'm going to test now if it is able to control my smart home devices without the need to turn on the TV. Alexa, turn on the air conditioner. In this case, it did work without the need to do further actions. Then the device control does serve as a normal Echo. Alexa, turn off the air conditioning.
Está apagado.
Right. Alexa, turn off the living room light.
Muy bien.
Right. You can also ask it for information, and in this case, it will answer without the need to turn on the TV. Although in my first test, I asked it questions and it started to play a song with the name of that question in a very strange way, but then it was updated and it works fine. Alexa, how much does an elephant weigh?
Un elefante pesa en promedio 4.2 toneladas.
Alexa, how tall is a giraffe?
La altura media de la jirafa es de 17 pies.
So, most of the voice requests you make to it work fine, except when playing music or podcasts. I've also already asked it to add things to the shopping list, tell me the shopping list, and many other requests I usually make to other Echoes, and yes, it has worked correctly. Hopefully they will update it to be able to play music without the need to turn on the screen. And now to wrap things up, let's take a quick look at the user interface we have over here. As they all feature, we can create multiple profiles for different family members. We're also going to be able to access the HDMI input that I mentioned that it has on the back. We can also select a media player if you have connected a USB stick with videos or photos. It has a section to quickly search for content. And on the home screen, it will give you recommendations of different series or movies. Not only from Amazon, but also from Netflix and some other platforms, although in general it almost always recommends movies from Amazon Prime. It gives a lot of prominence to its own platform, so to browse content from other platforms, you're probably going to have to open one app at a time, and that might be slightly awkward compared to other platforms that from the home screen give you recommendations from pretty much every app you have installed. So, here at the top, we're going to be able to have access to the apps that we have installed, but also in the home bar. So there is a bit of duplication of functions also in the system, and in this case, if we access Netflix, it will give us some basic recommendations, but you can't do a lot of vertical scrolling. So the experience is a bit simple when browsing content on the home screen. This is definitely a device that forces you to open each of the applications to explore content. For example, on YouTube, you see that it doesn't offer you recommendations unless you open the app. Then there is no doubt that it is not going to offer us such a comfortable experience when exploring new content. In this part, we can also go to install more applications. It has a lot of services available, although the HBO app is not officially available yet. I think that has been one of the biggest demands from users, and there is still no official way to install that app. Although some claim that you can get it installed from external sources, but it could be a much more complicated process. Finally, in the settings section, we can access notifications and some quick settings of this device, but nothing too attractive. It's a simple configuration, although fortunately the system responds very fluid and very fast. It doesn't feel like it gets stuck or anything like that. Apparently it has a good processor, although the manufacturer does not communicate anything about this section. So for the moment, this has been all for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, you know you can tell us, and we'll see you next time.